afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Myself, I'm Nico. With me is Philipp. We are co-founders of Apiax, a RegTech startup from Switzerland. And we address probably the biggest challenge in the wealth management industry, regulations. So let's have a look on Asia. It's already now the biggest market for wealth management industry and growing rapidly. But it is also a very fragmented market with many regulations and jurisdictions. So, and those, they are producing a lot of headaches for the bankers. And let's meet one of them, Jimmy. He is a relationship manager here in Singapore working for a leading bank. And he has a very promising prospect from India, Purti. She's a very successful serial entrepreneur. And Purti invited Jimmy to join her on her next business trip to Jakarta. And now Jimmy needs to know immediately what he's allowed to offer and what not. And this is a very complex regulatory question, as there are 3 different jurisdictions involved: Singapore, India, and Indonesia. Jimmy would go back now to his country manuals. They are often paper-based, very complex to understand, and often he also needs to go back to his legal compliance team to get the final answer. All of this takes him at least 30 minutes, and if you sum up all the time needed for the preparation for the client interaction as his bank, you can get up to 30,000 hours per year for this bank. And maintaining those country manuals takes also a lot of time. Since 2007, there are more and more complex regulations, and now there's up to 45 updates per week. All of this is leading to very high operational costs. Just last year, banks have spent more than 100 billion for meeting regulatory compliance obligations. And still, the risks are not under control. Banks have spent more than $300 billion for fines and penalties since 2007. We believe that this has to change. If banks want to be innovative again and ahead of their competition, they need an easy, they need a lean, and they need an efficient compliance solution. They need a digital compliance solution, and this is what we do. And we're very proud to show you today, for the first time on stage, our new Apiax app for client advisory, live on stage.
Hi, my name is Jimmy. Tomorrow I'm going to meet a prospective client, and I use the Apiax app to get precise answers on very complex regulatory questions, such as this cross-border case. So I've prepared already a set of my coming meetings, and the one with Purti we're seeing here, I'm going to change the meeting location from Singapore to Indonesia. She's still a prospect. She's an Indian national and domiciled in India, and she's a qualified investor, I know that. And with that information, I already get do's and don'ts in this cross-border situation. I can drill in more, see more of the details on the activities and documents to hand out, and for each specific country involved, Indonesia, India, and Singapore, in this case, I have country-specific regulation. So this helps me as a client advisor a lot to spend more time with Purti, my client. It brings me on the safe side, and it's fun to use. But Nico, how does this regulation and the updates get into this app?
So let it explain it to you. So our app only works with our Apiax platform. Banks can digitize their expertise, their legal opinions with our easy-to-use Apiax platform, or they can use ready-to-use rule sets from our content providers and apply their own risk appetite to it. The rules are executed by our powerful rule engine, which are based on machine learning, and deployed through an API which we have built along the use cases, so it's very easy to integrate into any application. With Apiax, Jimmy as a banker gets rules which are always up to date and verified, and with this, we remove his regulatory uncertainty. He can stay compliant and confident all the time. He spends much less time on compliance tasks and much more time with his client. And his legal compliance team get control over those rules. And this decreases massively the error rate and the risks for the bank. And last but not least, with an end-to-end integration, we can increase the efficiency at the bank massively. So if you'd like to see our solution in action, please visit us at our booth ZK10 or write us an email and we can meet later. Thank you very much.